I picked a sunny day and headed out to see the village of Tzintzuntzan. Only about 20 minutes from Pátzcuaro, there are about 15,000 residents and the area has a fascinating history. Between the 14th and the early 16th centuries, the Purépecha dominated western Mexico with an estimated population of more than 1 million people. Tzintzuntzan was their capital, where their ruler lived. They chose this area for many reasons. The giant lake had several habitable islands, lots of fish, and a surrounding landscape lush with mountains with forested pine, oak, and fir. The area is so beautiful and mystical that the Purépechas believed the lake was a gateway to heaven. The founding of Tzintzuntzan was most likely around 1450 AD. The most distinct of their monuments are 5 𝐥𝐿𝐻𝐿 pyramid, which, unlike Aztec or Maya pyramids, were round-shaped structures. On each of the 𝐥𝐿𝐻s was a temple made of wood in which the most important rites of the Purépecha people and government took place. When people think about Mexico before the conquistadores, they usually think about the Aztecs. But what they don't know is that the Purépecha existed at the same time, and they were such a fierce and mighty empire that they were one of the only indigenous groups in Mexico that the Aztecs failed to conquer. Unfortunately, little is known about the cultural history of the Purépecha, as there are no surviving written records, with most accounts coming from the Franciscan priests written in the 1500s by transcribed oral histories spoken by the Purépecha elders. Don Vasco de Quiroga, a Spanish aristocrat, was the first bishop of the province of Michoacán. Quiroga is remembered here with much affection because he worked against the worst of the Spanish abuse, and his statue still overlooks the plaza of his name in Pátzcuaro today. The Purépecha were already accomplished artisans when Quiroga came. When he organized the pueblos, he assigned each town a specific craft in order to avoid competition and to encourage trade among them. Many of these crafts are still practiced even today by generations of artisans. Today, Tzintzuntzan is a town of about 15,000 people, and I saw more apparent tourists here than I have seen in any other village in Michoacán. I was delighted to see their colorful crafts market, and the place had a very lively feel. Immediately after getting out of my car, I noticed that I was next to some kind of event. There was live music and lots of people. I soon saw the hearse and flowers and realized it was a funeral procession with lots of people, including the band, walking behind the hearse. I tried to stay out of the way and took a little video discreetly as I could. I let the procession pass me and then wandered into the craft mercado. Next to the market was the gate into the convent of Santa Ana and the Templo de San Francisco, with much of the building material obtained from the nearby 𝐥𝐿𝐻 pyramids that the Spanish destroyed. The complex garden is a large park-like setting and is named the Atrium of the Olive Trees due to the large gnarly trees that were planted here by Bishop Quiroga in the 16th century. I was walking slowly, appreciating the serenity of the grounds and taking a few pictures when I heard the funeral procession music coming from my right. The group had circled around and was back to where I was, apparently on the way to the church in front of me. I wandered and checked out the chapel and the old lovely convent. It's a very serene spot with the giant trees and feels insulated from the rest of the town by the high monastery walls. It was silent except for the singing I could hear from the church members at the funeral, which made the setting feel even more serene and magical. I wandered towards the entrance again, and meanwhile the funeral procession had left at the side gate and I could hear the music in the distance. I spent a few more minutes at the handicraft market and then wandered in the direction of my car. Then I noticed an entrance to a cemetery I hadn't seen before. In fact, it was a big cemetery with half on one side of the street and half on the other. I hadn't been yet to a Mexican cemetery, so I stopped to check it out. I gotta get out of here before they show up right behind me again. Where's the exit? Shoot, there's only one exit? God, I'm gonna have to hide in the corner again. Oh wait, I just saw the hearse. Oh, they're walking up the street, good. Whew. I didn't mean it to be, but my whole day at Tzintzuntzan turned out to be a Day of the Dead day, with me walking right into the middle of a funeral that I couldn't get out of, and then being stuck in a cemetery for a few minutes. But it was very touching, and I didn't know that Tzintzuntzan was such a beautiful little town, and there's more tourists there and tons of arts and crafts. And like I said, I walked into a funeral. So I couldn't go into the middle of the church, but I still saw how beautiful that sanctuary is over there. Bishop 𝐤𝐫𝐲𝐻's creation, I guess, from centuries ago. He's still thought of very fondly here. And his olive trees that he planted are still living there. It was amazing to see. When I was on the side of the sanctuary in the garden, I was just trying to stay out of the way of the funeral, and some tiny Purépecha woman was walking by with her things that she was selling. She was all by herself in the far side of the garden, and 4 big dogs ran at her. 4 big barking dogs aggressively ran at her, and obviously she was scared, and so I ran over there in my bright pink shirt, and I swung my little backpack at the one dog that had its back facing to me, and they're all snapping at her and stuff, and they kind of dispersed, and the poor lady was like petrified. She said a bunch of words to me which I didn't understand any of them. It may have been Purépecha, I don't know. And the dogs didn't come back, and we said goodbye, and then I walked on to the entrance of the sanctuary. I'm calling it the sanctuary, I don't know if that's what they call it, but the huge garden in front of the church. I'm walking out to the gate, and all the people there who had seen what happened wanted to talk to me about the bad dogs and what happened. And so I spoke with a few of them, agreeing that they were bad dogs and it was dangerous. But it was very sweet and touching that they all saw that and they wanted to talk about it. So my day in Tzintzuntzan was very exciting in the end, and it was a sweet little town, and I really like it there. And obviously we're getting ready for the Day of the Dead with all these carnations and orange flowers. Or maybe it's like that all the time, I don't know. But I really like that little town, it's very sweet. Every time I visit a new little pueblo, I try to imagine what it's like to live there. The advantage of all the towns around here, one of them, is that they are only an hour away from the city of Morelia. Morelia is the capital of the state of Michoacán and has a population of about 1 million people. It has an international airport and is home to such American chains as Walmart, Sam's Club, and Costco, in addition to Mexican chain stores. It has all the hospitals you could want, and it's an interesting and historic city with an amazingly beautiful centro full of historic buildings. Although it's a small town, Tzintzuntzan offers reliable utilities including high-speed internet connections via fixed phone line or cable, according to the agent I spoke with. If you want to live more remotely, satellite internet is readily available in the region. When I first arrived in the area, I saw a house for rent here in Tzintzuntzan that was really lovely with a view of the lake for 11,000 pesos per month. I happened to run into the agent who showed me that house recently, and it's still available. So I don't think there's much competition for housing here, at least not in the rainy season. I'm sure there are more affordable places to rent in the vicinity too. Another thing people like about this area is the climate. Although Tzintzuntzan is only about 19 degrees north of the equator, the high altitude of about 7,300 feet creates a moderate climate all year round. The warmest month is May, when temps can spike into the upper 80s during the day, and the coldest is November through February, when night and early morning temps on occasion may drop to freezing, but during the day the sun warms up the area nicely. For potential foreign residents seeking a place to live, Tzintzuntzan offers an opportunity to live and integrate within an authentic Mexican town in an area that 20 years ago was never on the radar of those seeking a living place in Mexico, and which today is being discovered by people who want to live in a mountain environment relatively close to modern amenities and far enough away from the urban traffic and congestion. This ancient highland town offers residents an authentic character and charm, clean and crisp mountain air, surrounded by forest and lakes, often framed by blue skies, and set against the backdrop of a beautiful and historic environment.